Hello, I'm Dr. Peter Lancia, Superintendent of Schools in Westbrook, and I'm pleased to present to you the 2023 State of the Schools Report. The full document can be found on our website, www.westbrookschools.org. I'm pleased to say that the state of our schools is strong, and we are striving every day to fulfill our one promise, the best education for all, for life. We have 4 strategic priorities in the district. These priorities of teaching and learning, social and emotional learning, equity and opportunity, and effective communication and collaboration frame the work that we do. They help our planning, set our goals. They help us to establish our work, make decisions, and guide our schools so that we can achieve academic excellence for all students, social, emotional, and physical wellness for all, and true justice and the common good in our schools and across our community. Let's look at some figures. First, our enrollment. As of January of 2023, we have 2,327 students enrolled. This is a decline of about 9% since 2017. We have 26 students from other cities and other districts who are enrolled in our schools. We also have 44 Westbrook residents who are enrolled elsewhere in other schools, namely private schools or parochial schools. A number of our students have also requested to continue going to school in high schools outside of Westbrook if they started there. For example, some of our multilingual learners have had their families relocate to Westbrook while they were in high school, and they have asked to finish out their diploma and graduate from Deering or Portland High School, which we have allowed. In terms of demographics, about 70% of our students identify as white and 30% as BIPOC. Of the white students, our Middle Eastern students, Asian students, and some of our Latino and Hispanic students identify as white. In terms of gender, we're about 50-50, with about 1% or less not reporting or identifying as non-binary. Our students come from all over the world. After the United States, many of our students come from Iraq, Angola, and the DRC, as well as other countries around the world, as you can see. Similarly, we speak many languages in the Westbrook schools and in our homes. After English, Arabic is our most spoken language, followed by Portuguese and French. While the number of students who are enrolled has declined over the last 5 years, the complexity of our students has continued to increase, particularly among several of our special populations. For example, the students who are identified as economically disadvantaged has risen from 61% to 66% of our population. Economically disadvantaged means students who qualify for free and reduced meals. Our students who are homeless or are McKinney-Vento eligible, while the percentage looks the same 5 years ago and right now, we've seen this statistic go up and down. And currently we're seeing many of our homeless students also in need of multilingual services because they are from our New Manor population. We've seen an incredible increase in our special education program from 17% of our population 5 years ago to about a quarter of our population now. Similarly, our multilingual population was 13% 5 years ago. Now it's 21% across the district. We'll look at some specifics about those programs in a moment. Here's another way of looking at our special needs population, 535 students, a quarter of our population, and you see that it's continued to rise. There are multiple programs we offer in our special education program. Some of these are targeted programs where students may receive a half hour or a 45-minute block of instruction. Others are more intensive and are more self-contained. We also offer programs through Spring Harbor Hospital. We're required to do so because the hospital is located in the city of Westbrook. You can see the numbers and the percentages by program and by school. Canal School has the highest percentage of special education students. Almost a third of the population has an IEP. Similarly, over a quarter of the students at Sakarapa have an IEP. Those represent some pretty significant increases. And of note, our self-contained programs, the intensive resource, the functional academics, the intensive support, and the FLS programs have seen the largest increase over the last few years, particularly at the elementary schools, where our incoming kindergartners come in with IEPs through CDS, Child Developmental Services. Our special education staff consists of 30 teachers, 46 ed techs, 5 speech and language therapists, 4 occupational therapists, and 3 psychological service providers, as well as a number of contractors who provide PT, speech, OT, and psychological examination. We have 3 administrators and 1 executive assistant in the special education department. You can see from this graphic the increase of our multilingual students. The graph shows through October of 2022, we've seen an increase since then to 462 students and 21% of our population. Sakarapa and the high school have seen the largest increase of multilingual students, although we should note that at Kongan School, the population of multilingual learners has more than doubled in the last 5 years. We assess our students and determine their levels of English proficiency. The majority of our students are at level 3, developing. That's a good thing. However, we have a number of students who are entering and emerging as well. Students who are entering and emerging in English language are typically served one-on-one or in pull-out instruction. By the time they're at level 3, they start to integrate into classrooms with and without support. The number of our new multilingual registrants outpaces the numbers of those departing. And of the new students who register, the overwhelming majority, almost about 2/3, are at that level 1. Most of our new registrants have very little English proficiency. We have 18 teachers, 5 EdTech 3s, 1 administrator, and a part of an executive assistant serving the multilingual population. That includes intake for families when they're registering in the city. We pay close attention to social and emotional development in Westbrook. Our social work and counseling programs are robust and support the needs of students and their families. We're fortunate to have 9 social workers, in addition to 1 clinical social worker in the district. Some of those are targeted towards special education students. Others see general education and some special education students. We have 10 school counselors at all of our schools across the district. We're fortunate to have counselors in every one of our buildings. We have an aspirations counselor who supports students in their future planning at our high school, from college searches to career searches to developing strategies for interviews. Our aspirations counselor works with all of our students about the future. We have a substance use counselor to support our students struggling with substances. We also contract with a behavior specialist and other providers to provide social work and counseling services in our schools. We are mandatory reporters in schools, meaning if we suspect abuse or neglect, we have to report it to Child Protective Services and DHHS. This is a breakdown of the reasons why we are reporting to DHS and to Child Protective Services. Abuse is the largest percentage: physical, sexual, and emotional abuse. Our economically disadvantaged population has remained fairly steady over the years at about 60% or so. You can see that Sakarapa has the largest number of economically disadvantaged students, followed closely by the middle school and Canal School. So let's talk now about academics, about some of the programs that we use in Westbrook to support all of our students. I'm sure you've heard us talking about our need to reset, renew, and recover as we move forward in our schools. We're focused on resetting our expectations, our practices, and our routines. After living through the years of the pandemic, this year in particular, we're learning how to go to school again in terms of all of our students, all of our staff, all of our community. We're resetting the things that make school work. We're renewing our commitment to the learning standards, to our academic course blueprints and the units of study, and committing our fidelity to our instructional frameworks, particularly in literacy and math. And we're focused on recovering what was lost in terms of academic and social growth, and expanding different initiatives to support all of our students. This year, in response to math achievement across the district, we implemented a new program in K through 5 called Zearn. Because of student need and student aspirations, we expanded our middle school STEAM program. We revised our elementary report cards and are conducting a pilot this year. And I'm pleased that our high school has developed a visual and performing arts endorsement for our diplomas. Students who have career aspirations in the visual and performing arts or gifts in the arts are now able to be recognized at the time of graduation with an endorsement on their diploma and on their transcript, even with a cord to wear at graduation that shows their concentration in visual art, music, theater, or a combination of the arts in Westbrook. Our recovery initiatives have included intervention labs in literacy and math at Westbrook Middle School, supporting kids who need a little extra boost to recover, to close some of the gaps. We established a restorative learning program at Westbrook High School for students who are returning to school after a long absence, or for whom school is not engaging or school is difficult to attend. We reduced elementary school class sizes to provide more one-on-one and more targeted instruction. We provided extended day and extended school year programs, after-school homework clubs and tutoring, as well as summer school programs. We've reinforced our libraries, maintained our collections, and expanded our collections so that our collections are more reflective of all of our students. We've also transitioned our library staff to all be teacher contract library staff, as well as ed techs at our high school and middle school. Similarly, we've expanded our nursing staff to be on teacher contract and to encourage and expand our wellness offerings for students and staff. Our achievement over the past 5 years can be measured with the NWEA. That's an achievement test that we have used every year for the past decade or more, and which is also now being used as a state's accountability test. We're seeing all students making some gains in reading, and reading includes reading and writing as well as phonics, listening and speaking. We've also seen some gains, especially in our special education, multilingual, and economically disadvantaged, or our free and reduced lunch percentages. Math is weaker for us, but we're starting to see gains as well, and again, especially in special ed, multilingual, and economically disadvantaged. Our new programming is designed to support this and to increase our achievement in math. Our graduation rates have been fairly constant over the last 4 years, at about 83%, although our 5- and 6-year graduation rate has grown to almost 90%. Of the class of 22, 62% are now enrolled in post-secondary education, including community colleges and 4-year colleges and universities, including 2 students at an Ivy League college. We have 38% of the class of 22 who entered the workforce and are doing very successful work, in their own businesses. Our students are very successful when they leave Westbrook High School. Some notes about other programs. WRVC, our Career and Technical Education Center, saw an enrollment increase of about 9% over the last 5 years, although this current school year saw a decrease of 41 students. Those students dropped out of the programs at the beginning of the school year, mostly from what they explained to us because they were not in the right program and they didn't understand the expectations and the rigor of WRVC programming. We're working to improve our application process so that students are better able to come to WRVC and to be successful in their programs of choice. Our most popular programs are medical occupations, firefighting, electricity, business, and cosmetology. Cosmetology is our newest program, only in its 2nd year. We also offer multiple dual enrollment courses where students receive both high school and college credit. We're fortunate to be partnering with the community college system for those credits. Our pre-K program has been in existence for over a decade, and it's a partnership with the Opportunity Alliance. We've seen an enrollment decline over the last several years, a steady decline. In fact, this year, only half of the available seats have been filled. One of our classrooms was closed in September because we couldn't fill it. We're studying how to improve the programming so that we can make our program more attractive to families and more conducive to the needs that are presented. On the other hand, our adult education program is thriving. In partnership with the Gorham Schools, we are projecting 650 students enrolled during the course of this school year. The majority of our students are taking English language classes. The number of students in English language has more than doubled. We offer courses in English language, all levels of English language, high school completion, career and technical education, and some enrichment courses. We are rebuilding our extracurriculars and our arts programming. Our athletics and activities have seen increases throughout the year, although we have had to enter into some cooperative agreements to allow for some of our sports to run, including field hockey. This past fall, we've now co-opted with South Portland. Music is also rebuilding. After the pandemic year, when it was difficult for beginning musicians to learn an instrument, we've doubled down and we are increasing our numbers, and our students are still as successful as ever. Our gold-winning marching band continues to be the pride of Westbrook, the pride of Maine, and one of the best bands in New England. We're proud of our equity and opportunity initiatives in the district. We have established equity leader groups in all of our schools and across the district. We've also just this year begun student equity leader groups at Westbrook Middle School and Westbrook High School. Amanda Atkinson-Lewis, our Equity Resources Coordinator, is doing a fantastic job leading this initiative and ensuring that equity is part of every conversation to make all of our programs, all opportunities available to all of our students. Let's look at some numbers in terms of human resources. We have 503 employees in Westbrook. There are 291 teachers, 197 support staff, and 25 administrators. This is about 40 employees higher than a typical year because we increased our employee base by about 40 people to support recovery efforts. We also have about 88 substitutes registered right now in the district. We can always use more, but we have about 88 people who are authorized to sub in the district. When we look at budgeting, personnel costs represent 84% of our budget. A huge percentage of our budget every year goes for personnel. In terms of demographics, about 98% of our staff identify as white, which includes Middle Eastern, Asian, and some of our Hispanic and Latino educators. We have about 2% who identify as BIPOC. In terms of gender, 71% identify as female, 28% as male, and 1% as non-binary or not reporting. 60% of our employees have advanced degrees, master's, CAS, EDD, and PhD. They've received multiple honors and recognitions, including this past year, the Art Educator of the Year and the Art Educational Leader of the Year, and the ESL Teacher of the Year for the state of Maine. Many of our teachers are also adjunct faculty members at the University of Southern Maine, University of Maine Farmington, St. Joseph's College, University of New Hampshire, and they also support and mentor interns. We have an accomplished faculty. Typically, about 8% of our staff retires or resigns each year. However, in 2022, that percentage was increased, about 18%. That followed a national trend. We're looking at ways to retain our employees and provide programming and supports to do a better job in retention. In terms of longevity, about 70% of our employees have been here less than 15 years. We hope to be able to support our less veteran members of the Westbrook teaching staff so that they will be here a long time in Westbrook, and they will join that 25-year plus club soon. In terms of the school budget, the fiscal year 23 budget was at $43,537,203. That was an increase of about 3.9% over fiscal year 22. Per pupil spending in FY22, which was the last calculated year, was at $18,121 per student. This includes both local and federal funds. And of note, FY22 showed a higher than state average per pupil expenditure because of the $7.3 million we received in ESSERF federal funds to recover from the pandemic. For the past several years, before the pandemic year, our per pupil spending was considerably lower than the state average. About 81% of our budget is funded by the general fund, by local taxpayers, and about 18% or so are funded by federal and state grants. We've done good work in reversing the deficits that were on the books several years ago, making those deficit corrections and going in a much better direction, particularly in food service, which accomplished a surplus in the last year and is projected to have a surplus in the coming year as well. Some notes about operations, the different staff. Our human resource department is staffed by one person who receives some support from a central office executive assistant. She manages all 503 employees, their questions, their needs, their benefits. The finance department has one director, a payroll specialist, an accounts payable specialist, an accountant position that's been vacant for the year, and a part-time executive assistant. The transportation department is staffed by a director, 14 bus drivers, 7 van drivers, and 3 bus aides. Plus there is an administrative assistant who's also our trainer, and a clerk who also serves as a bus aide. The maintenance department consists of a director, a part-time administrative assistant, 30 custodians that work across the district, and 4 maintenance specialists who work across the district as well. In the school nutrition department, in addition to the director, there is an administrative assistant and 19 full and part-time cooks, helpers, and other employees in our kitchens. The technology department has a director, a network administrator, and 3 tech support people, in addition to a technology coach who works with teachers across the district. Some things to note about the operations department. There were some challenges this year in that department because of some very special projects, time-consuming projects, including implementing new finance department software, establishing a separate employee identification number, and managing the $7.3 million in ESSER funds in addition to day-to-day work. In the transportation department, we have 14 regular route buses, and they're all 7 years old or less. We have 6 spare buses, 3 microbird or small 14-passenger buses, and 8 vans. They are on the road literally every day, all day. We drive over 1,300 miles a day, over 27,000 miles a month, and over 300,000 miles annually. That's a lot. I'm pleased that we're participating in the capital improvement planning with the city. We have our own school department capital improvement plan that is managed by the facilities committee. And I'm pleased that we've been working on several projects, receiving some grants from the state to fund a couple of our projects at our high school, and working with the city to bond several other projects so that we can address the building needs across the city. We have 6 schools, plus our Performing Arts Center, the central office, the administrative offices, and the transportation building. And in the school nutrition department, I'm really pleased about this because we like to feed people. We've served over 80,000 breakfasts and almost 130,000 lunches so far this year, with many, many more to go. And since the state of Maine offers free meals to all students, we'll continue to do that. So, the state of our schools is strong. But the state of our schools is strong, not because of the numbers and the figures and the charts that you've just heard about, but because of our people, our students, our staff, our families. The state of our schools is strong because of the children we meet in kindergarten, and we stay with them all the way to their graduation day. They are the center of our work. They are the focus of our work. We are strong because of them. Take care and have a great day.